mind, reminding you of your personal genius and how you think in order to actualize what you desire.
Hello, good morning. It's an honor, actually, good afternoon and good morning, depending upon where you're at on the planet. I am so honored to be here today for more than just the obvious reason. The obvious reasons I get to share information with you, and I do it with others that ideally would not only inspire you, yet will provide you with some tools, some insights, some understandings that you can apply or leverage immediately. And that's what Lead Life is all about: leadership, excellence, and achievement on demand. We want you to honor you as you're already doing. We want you to elevate you even more, and not for the kind of classic reason of just edifying your ego. No, it's for some grander reason. We believe that the healthiest you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, leads to all kinds of benefits for our entire worldwide society. So thank you for choosing to show up. And when you do, show out in a way that adds continuous value only to your life, your family's life, our communities, and again, worldwide. So today's topic is, what is your why? And is your why really the best model for our children? And so we want to know the collective why, definitely. Any foreign entity, intelligence coming here would say, what's their why? Perhaps not ask that question in that particular way. The bottom line is, do we even know why we're here as individuals? As individuals, many of us who are leading families, as mothers, as fathers, as aunts, as uncles, as grandparents, as great, you fill in the blank. Most importantly, as people who can facilitate the growth and development of these extraordinary sentient beings so that they are able to grow and continue to add value in a way that's uniquely them, connected to their innate character and capacity. So I'd like to share some things that are obvious as a platform for bringing in some remarkable people like you. They have exposures that they leverage, they have experiences that are important to them, but more importantly, fundamentally, they have values that they hold on to. It allows them to float in our societies and add even greater value. I'd like to believe, we here at Lead Life believes that life is as rich as we believe it to be. Really. Even given all the difficulties and challenges, it's all a matter of perspective, all a matter of mindset. Our thoughts about our conditions dictate so much what we live, how we feel, and how we feel about ourselves is revealed in our behavior towards others. Why? Our whys drive us towards our experiences, the people we know, the structures we inhabit, towards our daily imaginings. So, what is your why? So I'm asking you, what is your why? Is it to partner with others to achieve a dream that will impact the lives of countless people for the greatest good? Wow. Is it to be the example for our children so that they grow up to be the amazing persons we can envision just a little bit of because they can? Solving problems, helping people, creating resources, enabling the best in others. Well, that leads me to our guest. And there's 4 of them. 3 of them I'm going to bring in, ask Jethro to go ahead and bring into the studio now with one of my children. A great nephew. Thanks to my, well, great godson. Thanks to my goddaughter, Lynn. Well, Patricia Stewart, it's wonderful to see you. Brenda Dove, wonderful to see you. Lynn Marie and Zachariah, wonderful to see you. Thank you, Jet, for bringing them into the room here, Jethro. And so I want to begin with Patricia. Patricia describes her life as, I'm going to differ with her, but I'm going to share. She says her life is the typical low-income person of her generation, first-generation student going to college during and after the Vietnam War. She's a baby boomer, one of 7 children born to parents who were the classic poor religious family from farming roots from Texas and Oklahoma. She spent 37 years in student affairs at Cal Poly State University, St. Louis Obispo. She has 2 daughters, both with PhDs, and a husband that she met in college and has been married to for 50 years. Wow, Patricia. Honor you with that gorgeous smile. I'm going to start with you, if you don't mind. Can you share something with us that others would not know about you, including the many lives you affected at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, or CSU, San Luis Obispo? What is it, something about you that would really evidence the essence of who you are?
I would say I was the, as I described myself, as the gene that really didn't propagate like the rest of the family. I was always the different person in the family. And I think I took the drive that my parents instilled in all of us, and I really took that gene and went forward with it.
Mm. And if you could say what that is, in brief, what is that?
Work
that drive.
hard.
Describe that drive.
Yeah. Work hard. Don't be afraid of hard work. Always do your best. Give it your 100%. And if you have the opportunity to correct any flaws, do it over. And I think that's one thing my mother instilled in all of us, is that we had to do it correct.
Hmm. Hmm. And why do you think she did that?
I think she wanted us to know that nothing in life is free. You have to work hard for it, and that you're going to run into obstacles. And putting your best foot forward is going to give you an opportunity to be seen.
Now, we typically here at LEADLIVE tell people, or we share our perspective, that obstacles are preconditioned to all the lived successes. Is that your perspective? And do you think that was your mom's perspective?
Life is an obstacle. Being poor, African American, coming from parents who didn't have an education, that was an obstacle. And my roots would say I'm one of the few that had the opportunity to move forward and just took advantage of it. I was at the right place at the right time. I listened.
Now, when I said earlier that I disagree slightly, I think it was I know that it's in the framing of you. You start off with, my life as a typical low-income person of my generation. And the typical low-income person of your generation, I honor that. That is your understanding. I've not experienced a typical low-income person in any of my engagement with you. So that's why I say I would differ slightly. And what do I mean by that? And I don't mean to negate your statement. I mean to say that your wiring, your thought is about solutions. And I got to experience you over the last few months with some challenges without going to any of those discrete details. And each time your wiring was to say, oh, we'll figure it out. Okay, I'm going to follow up on that. Oh, I'm going to address that. It was always with this optimistic, and not even though you weren't even optimistic sometimes, but it was with this optimistic predisposition. We're going to get this done. No, don't worry about it. I'll call. Don't worry about it. I'll follow up. Don't. It was this, and unfortunately, too many of us who are born into economically challenging circumstances, as you were, as many of us were, certainly I was, we tend to take that as a mantle, that's a badge, and we wear it. And so I'm from here and I stay here. You didn't choose to stay in that same mindset because it was never maybe your mindset, because it wasn't your mom's mindset. I don't want to fill in the blanks, but am I speaking true to you or am I wrong?
No, you're speaking true. It wasn't in my mindset that I was going to stay where I was at. I was determined to, as they say, get out of the hood.
Yeah. I want to introduce, thank you so much, Patricia. I want to introduce Brenda Dove now. And I want to tell the audience that what I asked these brilliant people at the last moment, mind you, too, and they're gracious to make themselves available, is to really spend about 10 minutes with us. So they may not have much more than 10 minutes. So if they have to get off, it's because I asked them for just that amount of time. But while you're here, I'm going to speak very little and ask you to share more. Brenda Dove, you are led by the Spirit also. And you're a woman of faith. You're also a minister. You've worked in a number of different spaces. Telemarketing for 16 years, you left that to become a correctional officer. And you're now an entrepreneur. And I would say an entrepreneur's entrepreneur, because you're in your humble state. Most people would not know what you've done in a short period of time, that entrepreneurs work literally for over 10 years, 20 years to achieve, and you did it in less than 2 years. Thank goodness with the help of loved ones, your son included, and yet you did it. You did it. You had a vision. You're married for 37 years, 3 grown children, 10 grandchildren. You have 2 master's degrees, one in law, the other in theology. And your song is Know My Name by Tasha Cobbs Leonard. I love it. So tell us more. Tell us something about you that folks would not know by just looking at your brilliance, just like looking at Patricia's brilliance or Lynn's brilliance. And then as Antonio comes online, his brilliance. What would we not know that's not in social media? Also.
What none of you all would know is that I cry for other people. What I mean by that is because a lot of people, they don't know their value. And God shows it to me. And so when they don't want to push to have better, I cry out to God for them. And they don't know about it because I don't say anything to them about it at all. But I do that a lot for a lot of people, even family members, church members, people that I really don't know. My mom used to tell me, she said, you gave your hand to God at 7. And she said, you could go up to anybody. Out of all my 5 children, you could go up to anybody and they always received you. I don't know why. Maybe I know for a fact that it's because I have the Spirit of the Lord upon me. I do know that. I am not a perfect person. I don't dot every I. I do not cross every T. But I strive for excellence and I strive for better. I don't want my family to believe, as I've heard so often, oh, generational curse, the devil is a liar. Because the Bible says you have what you say. So if you're speaking that generational curse in your life, you're going to have it. As sure as we have angels assigned to us, we have demons. So you have to be careful with that little red flounder and how you use it, especially Christian people who say that they are Christians, but then they don't know how to talk. And because God has given me a bold spirit, I'm not scared to lose you as a friend. I would rather be a woman of integrity and tell you the truth versus being concerned about you being my friend. I'm more concerned about your salvation.
Wow. What inspired you to choose to be your authentic you? As I think about each one of you, and I know you differently, each one of you is authentic. Why have you chosen to be you?
Because God purposed my life, and I choose to be me because I have a love for people down in my spirit, down to my soul. And I care about people. When they don't care about themselves, I still care about them because we have a responsibility. We truly do. Whether we think we do or we don't, we have a responsibility to be better and to help others be better. Because there's a scripture in the Bible that says, am I my brother's keeper? And because I truly, genuinely care about people, I always want the best for them. So whatever I can do for people, I do, meaning give down to whatever. And I have done it. Called people over, come, get my shoes, get my purses, get my clothes. I have done it. Because at the end of the day, when you go away from here, you can't take anything with you.
Yeah. Wow. I'm inspired. And I was inspired before any one of you started talking. So, and that's why you're here. And so I get to introduce Lynn Marie Nimmer, this remarkable young woman I have known since just a little baby, with these gorgeous, huge cheekbones. So I won't embarrass her a lot here. Oh, I think the fact that I have her here is an embarrassment in part, but it's also intended to be an honor, as all of you are being honored. I know Lynn as always a thoughtful young child that grew into a thoughtful teenager and a more remarkable adult. And as a child, I'll never forget her mother and father telling me that she was at a neighbor's home and at the dining table, and I think it was the husband of the household, the father of the household, who said the prayer before dinner began, and he said, "All men," and it was with emphasis. And she was so delighted to be there. This is her loving neighborhood family. And she says she followed you. I don't think she was 5. She says, "All women." And that's just the essence of her spirit, is being clear. I don't know when she wasn't clear about whatever it was she was thinking about. And that clarity drove her to not only succeed in completing her baccalaureate degree at TSU Northridge, but also drove her to do what she has a passion for, which is to be in support of children. So for years, she would be there working in centers for children. And then that love for children carried on to where she works for, if I got it right, the county of Alameda, and serving individuals who are in need of food, in need of clothing, in need of other resources that otherwise they would not be able to secure because they don't have the infrastructure to get it. So she directs a center that does that. And I am so proud of you, Lynn. Very proud of you. And then last year, she gifted me with the opportunity to be in the birthing room. I know this is really personal, but I won't be too personal. And to witness this remarkable child come into life. And I always appreciated all of you who've given birth. Yet I didn't have a profound appreciation until I witnessed it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You did it twice, Patricia. You did it 3 times, Brenda. Oh my gosh.
And I'm only doing one.
And so with that, I could say so much more about her, but again, I have already embarrassed her enough. I'd like for you to share something, Lynn Marie, that folks would otherwise not know because you're careful not to put your stuff in social media. I know that. But more importantly, it will help those on the receiving end of this understand the essence of you and what drives you.
Well, I'm not on social media, but I'm also not a closed book. I'm an open book to anyone who asks. So there's not too much that people don't know, but anything pertaining to helping people is just what I like to do. So it's what I do. This might not be like the biggest, most prestigious job that I could have, but I enjoy it to the fullest. I get to help families every day. I get to make sure everyone has groceries for their children to eat. We get to help them have clothes and books and toys and anything that a child should have to feel like a child. You don't have to have the stresses of your parents if they're in need or struggling. That's not really for a child to really have to know about just yet. I bring my child to work with me with all this lovely COVID stuff going on, daycares. I don't know if I'm just going to drop him off at a daycare just yet. Also, he did have seizures at birth. So I kind of am wary of leaving him with people, not knowing if they know how to take care of him. And one of the things that most people know, but some don't, is that part of why I like this job so much out of all the other different ways I could help families or have worked with children is because my mom was into social services. She passed in 2005, but before then, because I was 25 at the time, I got to witness her as a child and a teenager and a young adult. And I got to see her work with people and help people and never turn anyone away and never treat anyone different. And it was always nice to just see that somebody could be so nice and so adaptive in every environment, in every situation, and love everyone, no matter how different they were. Like, from any spectrum. You could be a CEO of a company driving a Benz. She knew how to talk to you. You could be a homeless person on the street. She's not going to talk to you like you don't have a name. Like, it was just wonderful to see that you just treat people like people because everyone is important. And I want him to know that too. So when we walk around, I make him wave his little hand and say hi to everyone, everyone outside, no matter who they are.
I'm so
Right,
proud
Zach?
of you. Yeah.
Right, Zach?
And you're right. The spirit of Zenobia, oh my goodness, always stays with me. And for the viewing audience, she was definitely my sister in all aspects. And she was the voice of the so-called voiceless. She made certain that they had a voice in the media, in public spaces, as well as in private spaces. Yeah. So, honor. Well, I have some questions for you. And I want to ask whoever has to leave early, I want to ask you to start and respond to this. What is your why that fulfills you, instills urges in you, prompts you to move in ways historically and now, even when there are other demands on you? And I know you've already shared your why, Lynn Marie. So I don't know if we want to start with you, Patricia, because you lived that why.
Well, I guess my why stems from my mother. My mother was a volunteer in the community. She volunteered for the Red Cross, and whenever anyone in the community needed assistance, she was there to assist them. My why in working in student affairs, every student I ever worked with, I considered my son or daughter. And I always told them to listen to their parents and to call their parents when they didn't want to. And my why is to make the world a better place. If I can get individuals to be positive and have a productive life, that means we have more productive people in society.
Productive life, more productive people in society. Each one pass it on.
Yes, my why.
Thank you. Brenda, I think you've shared it. I don't know if you want to add to it.
Yeah, I will add to it. Thank you again for this opportunity. And my why is because you have people out in this nation. You have homeless people. You have children that are living in slums, slum houses. You have drug addicts out here. You have teenage mothers out here. Parents find out they're pregnant, they kick them out. A lot of those teens don't have nowhere to go. So now they're living on the street. I want to help people that don't know that help is coming, it's on the way. I want to give back, like give people some hope, because some of these people don't know when their next meal is coming from. They don't know any of that. I want to be able to give back, not just make wealth, but give it back, and give it back to build homes for teenage mothers, give it back to build homes for a drug addict, to help get them off of drugs, to let them know there is hope, that someone does love them, because a lot of them, they don't have family support. I want to be able to send somebody to school that wants to go to college, but they don't know where they're going to get the money from. And guess what? I don't want them to know that it came from me. I just want to bless. That's my thing. And also making sure that my family knows the value of money. It's not just always about spend, spend, spend. It's about save, so you have something when trouble comes. You don't want to say, oh, I want to go to a plan B. If you go to a plan B, that means you're expecting plan A to fail.
Wow.
Okay.
You know, I've told folks, I've coached when they say, well, can we talk about a plan B? I said, I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I believe you have a plan A, and if you have a plan B, I'm not the one. And then they press why, because of what you just said, Brenda. If you're focusing on a plan B, C, you have already undermined plan A. You got it. Awesome. Awesome. So next question. What is the impact of your why on your parenting? I mean, I know that for two of you, your children are adults now. And for one of you, you got 10 grandchildren. What, even as they're adults, and of course with Zachariah, in what way is your why affecting the way you parent?
I'll start. Like you said, 3 of mine are already grown. So I pray for those grown children, but I focus on those 10 grandchildren. And with each grandchild, because we have a lot of ministers in the family, I teach those children. For the ones that live in the same state that I do, and then the ones that don't, their parents make sure that by the time the kids are 3, they know the Lord's Prayer. We keep them in church. It starts there. Because if they should happen to go away from it, they'll always come back, because they'll remember where you were taking them, what you were doing. So like, they're coming here, oh, Nan, I want to come stay with you. You going to church on Sundays. You going to church on Sundays. Yeah, you are. Because I want that implanted inside of you. Because when you can't call on anybody else, you can always call on Christ.
You're grounding your children and your grandchildren, or you've grounded your children and you're grounding your grandchildren in something that's much more substantive than what we think as we touch it. Those things can dissipate and leave right away. The essence that resides within us never leaves. It's always, it's ubiquitous, right?
Yep.
Patricia, what's the impact of your why on your parenting, even as your children are adults?
My impact is my daughters are assisting other individuals in the community, whether it's helping to write a resume to get a job, or helping with an application to get into college, or even just going online and getting insurance, because you don't know that you're eligible to get insurance.
Right.
You don't know how to do it. So I think what my why is that I've taught them to give back and to help others in need, and don't necessarily have to wait for them to be asked. It's just to step in and do it.
Yep.
And I have the privilege, folks, of working with her daughters. They are as humble as they are, they're even more walking geniuses in terms of their emotional intelligence, in terms of their facility of guiding and being support of other people. And when I meet folks that have worked with them as students or just members of the communities that they've lived in, they always speak so highly of them. And it's not just about how they looked, how they dressed, what they said at a given time. It's really about their heart. It's about their soul. It's about their spirit. It's an energetic force that keeps those individuals on a path to their own greatness because they had the opportunity to interact and meet and work with Azure and Ethne. So I've witnessed that, Patricia. The times that I've interacted with you, I understand why Azure does and how she is, in part. Because of course she's much more than just your daughter. She's her own choices, right? But she got the ability to leverage you and your husband and anyone else you expose them to. That's awesome. I see that. Yeah. You want to answer that question, Lynn Marie?
Well, I'm in the beginning.
Yes.
I've only just begun, but I just, want him to start learning now. So the most important thing I can do is just be here for him for everything. He turns around, he needs, I'm right here. He needs help, I'm helping him. He needs something, we get it for him. We just want him to know that he's loved. He's gonna grow up to be a man one day. Oh my God. So we need him to just, know how to love others and how to take care of himself and how to help other people and just how to be a good person, basically. And I know you don't count yourself in this conversation, but you, Godmommy, have helped myself and your nieces and nephews and other godchildren. You have so many of us. So you actually are a big impact on us as well. My mom passed in '05, my dad passed in 15, but they left me with wonderful godmothers, 3 fairy godmothers, and you are definitely my close at hand, around the corner, call anytime godmother. So please count yourself in this conversation because you have helped raise more than a handful of us as well.
I feel so honored. Yeah. I am honored that your parents allowed me to be in your life, welcome me into your life. I am so honored that my brothers and sisters and other loved ones welcomed me into their children's lives. I just feel abundance. Whenever I think I have a difficult day or a challenging issue or something gets under my skin, I think about one of you, just one of you. And the smile gets wide, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Ah, I got this. Let's keep going." And do you feel that, Brenda, when you have a challenging day, you think about those kids, all of them, the adults and the children, or you, Patricia?
Yes, definitely. I think about the kids. I think about, just making sure that I impact them in a way that they won't forget, because, we're not going to always be here, and so you want to make sure that you leave your mark, so that they want to, because just like Miss Lynn Marie was saying, as well as Miss Patricia, it's so important to help other people to do. And when I take my granddaughters with me or something, and you may see an elderly person having trouble with something, my granddaughters immediately run to them, and go help them, or and I just said, Lord, I'm just so grateful that I know that they're listening. Like if I was to ask the 4-year-old or the 8-year-old or the 13-year-old to pray, they're going to do it at the drop of a hat. And when you hear them pray, you're going to know that they are leading by example.
You all speak to service. And I didn't design this to have each one of you here to talk about service. And yet you're all speaking to service. And you all had examples of service in your childhood that influence you. And yet I know that each one of us makes decisions and we don't have to follow that service track. And can you speak to why you may have chosen to follow that service track that's so, on the surface, it's endearing, but really fundamentally, it is transformative. It's the reason why we can get up with a bit more vigor every day because we know we're adding value. But more importantly, people on the receiving end are able to get up with more energy because we're supporting them, whoever we happen to be. And hopefully the we is expanding always.
Well, I'm about service because I think service is how we connect as human beings. Service is what I learned when I was brought up in church, community, churches, loving your neighbor, doing any and everything you can for your fellow person. Service is uplifting society at some point. So if all of us are in the service game, we spread a lot of love. And hopefully people take that service and respond and share it with someone else. That's one of the issues that I think we have today is that we don't have a lot of people who love themselves enough to accept service and share service.
You just said something that I think is very powerful, to say the least, among the other powerful words that have been shared, and that is love themselves. Can you speak a little bit more on that? I don't want us to just kind of gloss over that.
Well, for me, loving oneself means that you value you value yourself, and you learn to share yourself without being exploited. You can love yourself and be powerful. You can love yourself and be exploited. But you have to have that love within to be able to go out and reach others. So loving oneself is the first step. And then, of course, loving of God, loving of your community is an important part of that society as well.
And how do you show love to yourself?
Well, I pamper myself now that I'm in retirement. So my love was working hard with students, helping them reach their goals, helping them to reach the goals that their parents hoped for them. I put myself first. I have my routine that I follow. I do positive things for me that I wouldn't have done. When I had kids years ago, there were a lot of things I couldn't do. But now that I don't have kids, I do the things that I want to do.
Like what? I know some of your routine. I think it's awesome. I want to be a part of you. I don't ever want to be anyone else, but I can live part of your life. That would be awesome.
You know, hanging out in the yard, doing my stitchery, needle pointing, driving. I still take a number of my senior friends to doctor's appointments. I call on them. I check on them. I tell them what to do. They don't want to hear that. I get in their business.
You exercise, you go work out, you play. That's the part that's endearing. You give yourself physical gifts in terms of whatever that means.
Gotta take care of me.
You eat foods that are nutritious. You're concerned about the nature of the water that you consume. You make certain that you don't surround yourself with negative thoughts, negative people. You're very positive. So these are things that evidence one's love for self. Doesn't mean you negate anything or anyone, but you are aware of what you put into your spirit, what you allow into your space. Right, Brenda?
That's absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah. And I know enough to know that I don't know enough about any one of you. So yes, I know Lynn Marie a lot, but I don't know what I don't know. And so with that, how do you show love for you that maybe others don't even know about, even though you're an open book, and you would want other people to be in tune to for themselves, Lynn Marie?
Well, you don't necessarily really need to know this about me, but if it can make other people relax, sometimes just turn on some music and just dance around. Just let go sometimes, just get silly. And when I was in college, one of my favorite things to do, which I still do sometimes, is I will just take my hair down and just run outside for no reason, in no particular direction, just to feel the wind in my hair and on my face. I take the baby and the dog so it looks like I'm letting them play, but it's really so I can just let loose for a minute and catch my breath. You know, you have to, like Miss Patricia said, loving yourself is important. You have to feel comfortable in your own skin and be completely at ease with yourself before you can focus on other people, before you can give other people advice, before you can perceive to know what someone else might need. You have to know how to take care of all your needs and make sure that you're happy.
Wow. They're wonderful comments. And of course, your daughter-in-law, beautiful Mimi Dove, had shared comments throughout, making it very clear to everybody, we love her.
I saw that. That was cute.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then thank you, Roxanne Shin. I think it's Gucci, reminding us that you're so inspiring, Miss Dove, and Lyndon Britt, or I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly,
Yes, that's correct.
and illuminating the powerful role, if I remember correctly when you were talking, of us being of service, of being in service. We're responsible for one another. And then Erica Marie, Santiago, love you, Mama. And so we know that there are other folks who view this recording during the live broadcast, and we know folks you're going to view it later. And as a testament to some of the viewings that have 100 or 5,000 or whatever, whenever you view this, please leverage it. If there's some kernel of something that hits you, makes you uncomfortable, maybe the whole point is for you to be sufficiently uncomfortable to right size yourself and move in a direction that will serve you best or serve you better, especially as it relates to your big why influencing all of our children. Beyond the obvious, Patricia, Brenda, and Lynn Marie, why should we care about our children? I mean, beyond the fact that we love them, beyond the fact that we want them to be their best, beyond the fact that we want them to make a difference, why should we care about them? I'm serious. It's a weird question, but it's a serious question.
It is a serious question, and I'm going to answer first because God just put something in my spirit. Number one, everyone on this panel, we are women of color. And our children, especially the men, okay, and I'm not taking anything away from the females because some of them are mistreated as well, but they already have a mark against them just because of the color of their skin, okay? So we have to let them know as mothers, as parents, that we are here for them. And that's why I'm so glad that I have two sons and they're both mama boys. You know what I'm talking about, Miss Lynn Marie. I know what I'm talking about. You have to raise those children right. Raise them how to cook for themselves, because you might not have a woman. You know what I'm saying? Raise them to cook, clean, do for themselves. Be independent, but they already have a mark. And so that's one mark against them right there. No, we have to let them know as mothers that they are everything and they can be anyone that they choose to be. As long as they keep God in the center, the front, the back, all the way around them, they're going to be just fine, no matter what others may say. Okay? Just hear that voice of God and know that you are a king and that you are a priest. Because when you talked about the other question on love, Dr. Elnora, when you talked about that, Jesus said that he didn't come here to be served, but he came to serve. So we all have that responsibility to serve one another. And then God gave us two greatest commandments: to love him with all our heart, mind, body, and soul, and then to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And just like Miss Patricia said, you got to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. So it first starts with you. Number one, self-development, getting better, listening to motivational videos, praying, staying in your word. All of that's going to help, but we have to grow. We have to grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Growth. Growth. Anyone, you don't have to add to that, because that was pretty remarkable in and of itself, but do you want to add to that, either one of you?
I would like to add, Black men have, as Brenda said, a mark against them, but Black women as well. Many times they're overlooked just because.
Yep.
I mean, you can be bright, you can be intelligent, you can be smart, but if you don't fit the profile, you don't get the job.
Yeah.
So it's important to raise women and our men to support one another. So we need to be uplifted on both ends.
Amen.
Powerful. Our capacity as individuals far exceed what even scientists understand. I'm reminded of someone who was born without ears, and the doctors told the parents that child will never hear. And the father, being the inherent genius that I think we all have, our own genius, took that baby and whispered into that baby's ear, or where the ear should be. You not only can hear, you're the solution to a problem that exists, that we don't even know exists. That child grew up to create the first device to help the hearing impaired hear. So I'm giving myself chills by listening to all three of you. And what you just said, Brenda, what you said previously, Lynn Marie, what you just said, Patricia, all is about understanding our capacity that far exceeds the obvious. I can give you names of women, names of men, names of children, also names of elders who've come up with remarkable solutions, and people would otherwise say, oh, they don't amount to anything. Look at them. And then looks have nothing to do with capacity. Things have nothing to do with capacity. I remember, and Lynn knows this, I had a home. On the outside, it was like, a little bit concerning. On the inside, a little concerning, but just in no time at all, transformed it. It was like, oh my God, this is attractive. Remember those two different homes?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with what you saw. It was the imagination I had. And I remember you telling me, Lynn Marie, oh, I know you got this. I don't understand it, but I know you got it. And sure enough, transformation. And one person telling me this home should be on blah, blah, blah. I mean, architect or whatever, this particular about. The power of each one of us as individual far exceeds what's obvious. The power of our imagination, oh my God. God has given us a gift of imagination. And arguably, I wouldn't even have to argue, for each one of you, for all of us, we've used that imagining to build the lives that we're experiencing. I could go on and on. You stayed longer than I anticipate, and I am so appreciative And I think the viewing audience is especially appreciative. So I want to ask a closing question. And thank you, Lyndon, for a panel of beautiful and distinguished women of God. I love it. And Mimi Dove, this is an extraordinary young lady. Yes, that's right. And so to all these extraordinary people I've met or not met, thank you for viewing, joining us here today. And those who will see this, again, leverage it. If you think someone you know can leverage it, share this video with them. We do this freely because we can. Emphasis added. We do this freely because we can. And as Brenda Dove lives and is leading in the space of financial services, and as Patricia referenced her daughters doing the same thing with me, just know we also have solutions that Patricia talked about. We don't know what we don't know unless we open ourselves up to it, as Brenda indicated. Whether you're looking at videos online, whether you're reading a book for that matter, whether you are listening to folks who have been there and done it, not those who are talking about it and telling you not to do it, and they have no clue what it entails, but those who've been there and done it successfully with the kind of values that you value or you appreciate. However you get to that growth, I think Brenda hit the nail on the head again. Growth is what we're about. And if we're not growing, we're preparing to transition, even if we're physically here for another 30 years. Why prepare to transition? Why not experience this wonderful thing called life? And it's really about our imaginings. You get to imagine big. So my last question is, what are key words of wisdom beyond what you've already shared that you'd like to share with folks, whether they're local to where you're at, United States, or globally? Let's start with you, brilliant Lynn Marie.
Well, I'm glad I got the chance to do this real quick. If you or anyone you know needs groceries or help finding a shelter or anything like that, I do work at a place called the East Oakland Switchboard. Our phone number is 510-569-6369. We're at 1909 73rd Avenue from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4. You don't need ID, you don't need paperwork. You just come, tell us you need groceries. That's all you need. And we are here to provide the rest. And that will make me extremely happy because that's what we do and that's what we like to do.
And let me just say something, that when we post the video, Jethro will be careful to capture that so that people can see it on the video. Thank you so much, Lynn Marie. Patricia?
I would say in terms of our growth is to be open, to be willing to listen, be willing to open your heart and your arms.
Put an emphasis added after heart. Open your heart. Brenda?
I would say mental toughness is a key word, and your mindset, focusing on your mindset, the right mindset, okay? Because life is going to happen. It's going to be issues in life. And so many people I've found, they just want to race to the mountaintop and they don't want to go through any of the valley experience. But the valley experience is what grows you to get to the mountaintop. Because keep this in mind and remember that it's a much larger drop from the mountaintop than it is for the valley. Because in the valley, you already low. You might not survive the fall from the mountaintop. I would say that. And if there's anyone out there that needs any help with finances, and your finances are where they're not supposed to be, and you want to get them to where you want them to be, then you can contact me. My name is Brenda Dove. My number is 757-754-6992. And we have a bunch of financial people that work with me, and they'll be more than happy. So if you say, oh, you're just one person, you can't help us all. Well, we have a slew of people that can help you, and a lot of them are on this webinar right now. Thank you.
Awesome. And we're going to add your contact information to the video as well. And so what did Lyndon add? He said, keyword, don't be afraid to fail when working to grow. Powerful. It's an essential part of growth. Success teaches little. Failure teaches much if you learn from it. Thank you so much for complimenting, adding to the substance of what's been shared. And I am just deeply appreciative. And I know Antonio tried to get on, but was not able to. So we are going to do a special pre-recorded show featuring him and others for next week. Now, I got to tell you, Brenda, Patricia, Lynn Marie, and Zachariah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for choosing to make a difference in the lives of many people on a daily basis and to do things that will never get the light of day, because it's not about illumination. It's about transformation. It's about making a difference in the lives of others in a way where they then are able to pay it forward. So, Wado, it's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
You're welcome.